In this video, I'm going to talk about how to add a text object, make it 3D, and convert it into a mesh so that it can interact with other objects, other mesh objects. So first of all, over on the left-hand side, under the Create tab, the second tab on the left, we're going to scroll down into the other section and click Text. The text will appear wherever your 3D cursor is. I'm going to go ahead and move that so I can see it a little better. So I have my text here. It is a plane, so completely flat. If I want to make it 3D, I can come over onto, let me get rid of that. So in can pop this little menu in and out. I don't really need it right now. This F for font window, it's actually the data panel. Right now we have a text object selected, so I can modify the properties of the text object here. Under the geometry section, extrude, if you click and drag in that little window there, it will make your text 3D. Drag to the right to make it taller, drag to the left to make it shorter. It won't let you go past 0 and go upside down there. I recommend staying away from the offset unless you're just wanting your text to look pretty. If you want to do anything with your text, like inset it into an object and do a Boolean modifier, or 3D print it, you don't want to mess with offset, because here's what happens. If I get kind of a front view here, as I start zooming in, the faces will start to overlap. There it goes, that E, there's faces overlapping. So it's not actually a real world object anymore. We couldn't 3D print it. The printer wouldn't know what to do. So I'm going to go ahead and set this offset back to 0. If I click into this little box here, I can just type in 0 and hit enter. I also recommend staying away from bevel if you are planning to 3D print your object. It does make the text look nice, so if you're just using it to look pretty, it's totally fine to use a bevel. But like offset, we can have overlapping faces. Bevel basically just cuts the edge off the text. Makes it look nice, but it's not very good when you are trying to use it in the real world. I'll go ahead and leave that bevel on there for a minute and show you what resolution does. Resolution just rounds the bevel, and you can make it more round by dragging more to the right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set the bevel back to 0. So I have my text object. It says text. That's not very exciting. I can go into edit mode either by this menu and click edit mode, or I can hit tab to toggle back and forth between edit and object mode. So right now I'm in edit mode. I have a cursor. I cannot use my mouse to move that cursor. Instead, I have to use the arrow keys on my keyboard. I can use backspace and delete to change the text. Okay, so there's my message. I'm going to go ahead and tab to get back into object mode. And I can actually change this font as well. So if you look in this font section, I usually just change the regular font and click this little folder. We're using a Windows system, so it's going to be under Windows, Windows again, Fonts. Now it's kind of overwhelming, the amount of fonts I have on my computer. I can't keep track of them all. So something that I like to do is go into wordmark.it, and I can enter whatever text I'm trying to change, and when I hit enter, it's going to show me all the fonts I have loaded on my keyboard. I can click the ones that I like, scrolling down, whatever. Okay, I'll choose that one. Okay. And then if you choose filter selected, you can make your final choices more easily. So let's say I wanted to choose Atlantic Cruise. So I'm going to go back into Blender. I'm going to look for Atlantic Cruise somewhere in here. Atlantic Cruise. There it is. And I can either double click or click to highlight it, and in the upper right there's an like load text, I think it's called. And now you can see that my font has changed. If you are doing more than one line of text, okay, so there's my 2 lines of text. Let's say I wanted to center these. There's some options down here: horizontal alignment, vertical alignment. So I'm going to do center for my horizontal alignment. Now it's centered. You can do spacing either by the letter or by the word or by the line. So there's lots of options down here. You can offset your text one way or the other, and notice that that's changing where your text is with respect to its pivot point. You can change its dimensions. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that you can play around with in here. Okay, well that is it for adding. Oh, no, that's not it. One more thing. If you want to actually use this text to interact with other objects, like join it to an object, Boolean it into an object, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm back in object mode. There is a way to convert this into a mesh object. Right now it's a text object, but I can make it into a mesh object that has faces and vertices and all that. Under object, all the way up at the top to convert to, I'm going to convert it to a mesh from text. And now if I go into edit mode, I can no longer change the words or letters. I can no longer change any of the font options. It is now actually a mesh object. So there you go.